Most parents' number one priority in life is the safety of their children. Countless numbers of parents are apprehensive about sending their child to school due to the increase in gun violence that has taken place. Teachers, parents, and administrators are striving to find a solution to reduce violence in educational institutions. Although some people may believe that guns should be mandatory for teachers to carry due to increased gun violence in schools, they should not be mandatory as teachers are not properly trained to carry and it causes more safety risks in the classroom. First, I'm going to go over the most recent mass school shooting, which was at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Nikolas Cruz took 17 students and administrators' lives. The indescribable tragedy has encouraged the rest of the student body to take a stand for what they believe will best protect themselves as well as future generations of students. These students understand that mental health issues are commonly linked to school shootings as the shooters are not mentally stable and have not received the help that they need. Mental health screenings should be given as a way to diagnose those who need therapy and assistance with their mentality. Cruz had posted a comment on YouTube announcing that he was going to be a professional school shooter. Had police taken Cruz into questioning and screening, this vicious act may not have occurred. It is possible that several of the previous school shootings, such as this one, could have been prevented had the students been screened for possible mental health illnesses. After looking at the history of a few mass school shootings, a solution seems to be discovering mental health issues, not adding protection to schools by arming teachers and administrators. Teachers should not be mandated to carry a gun at school. Teachers are not properly trained and do not have the mental capacity needed in order to properly react with a gun in a school shooting situation. When being trained on how to safely and efficiently use a firearm, people are taught how to shoot at a target or object located a certain distance away from them. While it is possible to be trained to simply shoot a gun, it is nearly impossible to prepare an individual on the correct and most productive way to handle an active shooter. The school shooting that I have previously mentioned they all vary by their own distinct characteristics. It is unfathomable to know the exact details of a situation that a teacher will encounter when they come face to face with an active shooter. Police officers use guns on a daily basis and are still not trained enough to hit the preconceived target. This goes to show that no amount of training will guarantee a teacher to be able to shoot the gunman. The majority of teachers do not have the mental capacity to be able to crossfire with a violent person if they were to enter the school. Teachers go through years upon years of rigorous schooling in order to prepare them to lead class discussions based on core subjects such as science, social studies, mathematics, etc., but they are not taught to operate a firearm and to shoot potential harm. If shootings happen in churches, preachers would not be required to carry a gun. If tragedies like this happened in hospitals, nurses would not be required to carry a gun. Shootings occur in more environments than just schools, therefore expecting teachers to carry a gun while at school is unreasonable. Secondly, mandating teachers to carry a gun while at school will cause an increase with safety issues. A frequent concern that parents have is what if the teacher were to use the gun as a threat? Having a gun on hand increases the student's safety risks due to the fact that the teacher could use the weapon as a way to calm students down. In an article on the Washington Post by Joe Heim called Armed and Safe on March 12, 2018, a student at Mad River School District, Jalen Yarbrough, says, It's good that they want to protect us, but if the teacher just pops off, anyone can go crazy and then they have the gun right there. Or let's say a kid gets rowdy. The teacher could say, I feared for my life and I shot him. The police force have encountered numerous instances in which they need to fire their weapon at an individual that have been questioned. The amount of scrutiny and debates that would result from all teachers carrying an armed weapon would be tremendous. Students fear for their teachers that could be a danger to the classroom if armed. If a problem student were to become aggressive, teachers could use the weapon as a form of self-defense and cause more harm to the class. As shown in this picture, only 82% of teachers would apply to be armed at school, whereas 12% say that they are not, or whereas 12% say that they would be confident in carrying a gun. Donald Trump, the President of the United States, is in favor of teachers carrying at school. He suggests that 20% of all American teachers should be armed. In an article in New York Times posted by Natalie Prolks titled Should Teachers Be Armed with Guns on February 3, 2018, she states, according to a Washington Post analysis, it could cost more than $1 billion to arm and train 20% of American teachers. It would take a substantial amount of money to arm teachers and administrators in schools. He claims that only people who truly understand weaponry and have their permit to carry a gun will be permitted to have a gun on school grounds. A teacher would not be allowed to simply just have access to a gun. They would have to go through trainings and understand the gun. Instead of using the money for trainings and guns, schools should pay for students' lunches who aren't able to afford it, or for teachers who need to buy supplies to enhance the learning of students, or even for transportation for students who do not have someone to bring them to school daily. In addition to the previous counter-argument, other parties in this debate believe that teachers should be required to carry a gun at school, one reason being that schools do not have a police station nearby. In an article on VOA News by Brian Lynn titled, "Can Army Teachers Prevent School Shootings?" on February 27, 2018, on average, many school shootings happen in about 2 to 3 minutes. Administrators and parents worry that law enforcement officers will take too long to respond to the shooting. If there is not a police station close to the school, the intruder could possibly take more lives and cause more destruction. Although Army teachers may be a solution to gun violence in schools, there are safer alternatives that would be equally or more effective. In fact, various school districts are now looking into having armed guards to patrol school grounds and enhance student safety. Instead of putting the responsibility of carrying a gun on teachers, trained professionals would be responsible. In place of arming teachers, retired law enforcement officers or military veterans can protect the school. These retirees are already trained to shoot and kill, and they have had experience in other tragedies that have prepared them to deal with these tragedies. In addition, a more safe solution to the issue of school shootings is to do mental health screenings with adolescents, which they could diagnose issues early in life so that he or she could get the help that they need. A major topic that could be a reason for school violence is depression and the side effects of medication. If we are able to target those who need mental help, school violence could be reduced. Arming teachers is not necessary, as it will not be as ineffective as diagnosing the potential harm before they are able to do destruction. In conclusion, the debate of whether or not teachers should be mandated to carry a gun at school is an extensive argument. Teachers should not be armed in schools, as they do not have the mental capacity to carry, and it increases safety risks. On the other hand, people such as Donald Trump think that teachers should be trained and armed. They believe that the best solution to gun violence in schools is to instruct teachers to be armed. However, if a teacher is trained to carry a gun, that does not necessarily mean that they will know how and when to react if there is an active shooter. Both sides of the argument concur that school shootings have become an issue in the United States and that something needs to be done.